Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. Today we're discussing the Breitling SuperOcean 42 in stainless steel. You can see this chronometer certified dive watch with helium escape valve, opaline style intrepid orange dial, and professional one bracelet on our website. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you enjoy these videos, and please click on the card in the upper right hand corner of the screen at any time during this video to see our full sales listing for this extraordinary diver with accessories included in the sale, high resolution images for your desktop, and naturally complete pricing details for this 42mm circa 2004 Breitling SuperOcean 42. Now I say circa 2004 because this basic model was released in 2003, but the example right here is on a bracelet stamped roughly towards the end, the 47th week of 2004. Therefore, for practical purposes, we're going to call this watch a 2004. Now, 14 years have passed since this watch first saw the light of day in Solothurn, but the bottom line is it still looks sharp, and it's still ready for action this summer season with a 1500-meter depth rating and helium escape valve, perhaps more practically, a tough screw-fixed Breitling captured bezel, and a thick sapphire crystal ready to shake off scuffs. This is a full-service sportster for fun in the sun, and beneath the waves should duty call. Now the watch is easy to wear, although Breitling and Bentley have become inextricably linked in recent years, with each starting to resemble the other in many ways. This is a true 42mm watch that wears accordingly. It's nice and compact at only 15mm thick. It will fit underneath a sport jacket or blazer cuff, even a suit jacket cuff, though you're going to have real panache and daring to pull off this dial in a true dress uniform or formal attire. Nevertheless, if you do, you're going to be able to fit it on a smaller wrist because 49.1mm lug-to-lug is exceptionally compliant for those of us with smaller wrists, and I define a smaller male wrist as about 14 centimeters circumference to about 16 and a half. I like to keep the lug-to-lug dimension 50mm or smaller, and this watch fits the bill. It's also substantial. I mentioned the Professional 1 bracelet, and that's exactly what you get. Now, Professional 2 was phased in sometime between 2007 and 2008, and that's where the slash cut motif originated. This is a little bit more stolid, simple, perhaps more emblematic of the German-Swiss region in which Breitling watches are manufactured. The symmetry of it is pleasing. It doesn't appear to be trying too hard to gain attention. That's the dial's job. Instead, the bracelet, all of high polish with symmetrical triple links, is handsome and substantial, and you can see even back then Breitling was using sizing screws for removable links. The underside with broad channels to aerate the wrist. This is always an important consideration for a bracelet that will be worn on a sports watch during periods of heat and activity. You'll also note that the large channels or gaps between the links prevents the pinching of skin or the pulling of hair. Now, Breitling understands that friction fit and sports watch clasps do not belong together. Therefore, you have a clamshell mechanism for securing the clasp itself. You also have a extension system that can be deployed with the use of a strap tool. Pop it right out, fit it over a diving suit, a wetsuit, dry suit, whatever. You can even use it over a thick winter coat or sweater, as I often did with my dive extension on my own Omega Seamaster Diver 300 meter. Now back to the case, which is the pièce de résistance of this watch. Massively constructed, all of high polish, comfortable on the wrist. It also features the helium escape valve in its flank. Saturation divers, you know what that's for. Everyone else, it's a cool talking point. Just know it's there to let helium out of the watch after the dive to prevent a blowout of crystal and seals. Now the bezel is Breitling's captured bezel design, which is to say these screws are not just there to look butch. They do physically attach the bezel to the watch, which is to say, unlike snap-on bezels, the type used by, for example, let's get a little bit closer here, Rolex and Omega, this cannot accidentally be snapped off. A bezel that snaps on can snap off. This one does neither. A little bit more work for your watchmaker when he's disassembling, but more security and peace of mind for you. Now, it does feature the rider tabs that are also distinctive of Breitling in the modern era, and you'll note that each rider tab allows you to gain better purchase on the bezel when your hands are wet, sweaty, or gloved. Now, for good measure, it also features a chimney, which is this little inner ring. It's the buffer between the bezel and the crystal on a Breitling. It helps to prevent one from coming into contact violently with the other. So now you know the captured bezel, the riders, and the chimney. We've got our Breitling bezel terminology down pat. What you've also got is a luminescent pearl. It is a unidirectional dive style bezel, so you can accidentally shorten your dive under extreme circumstances of physical violence to the watch, but you cannot accidentally extend the dive. Line up the luminescent pearl with the minute hand, and now you've got an impromptu 60 to 0 minute timer counting down from 60. I like to use this to time intervals remaining while I'm cooking. During college I had a dive bezel. I would use it to time remaining intervals before the end of a test. It's very handy, and it's easier to read a radial scale with a giant hand than it is to read a minute subdial on a conventional mechanical chronograph, which is why I always say a dive bezel is the best chronograph ever invented, with none of the downstream maintenance costs when the mechanism needs to be serviced. Now, the dial is what Breitling has referred to as intrepid orange. It is not a sunburst, and it's not gloss. It's an opaline or vaguely pebbly granular texture, a matte to resist glare. The dial is beautifully luminescent. There will be a lume shot at the end of the video. You'll also note that it features an upscale flourish, the applied Breitling wing logo, now retired under Georges Kern. So a little bit of a vintage flair too. This isn't what the SuperOcean looks like, not anymore. This is a throwback to when it was a pure utility style watch. This is a watch out Doxa type Breitling. You can see that the crown guards are substantial, but they don't make it difficult to grip the crown. Some shouldered crown guards go a little too far and make purchase on the crown almost impossible. Not so here. Now you can see the case back. It's simple, it's old school, there's really nothing to see. There is a converted ETA 28242 in chronometer grade tuning, 1500 meters water resistant. The screw down case back and a robust crown make that possible. The caliber, doing business as Breitling caliber 17, features 25 joules, smooth bidirectional winding, a 42-hour power reserve, hacking or stop seconds, as well as a quick-set date mechanism. It is a chronometer protected to 1500 meters and equipped with the helium relief valve technology on its flank. All of that combined makes for a no-nonsense utility watch. Now, sports watch purists are all about legibility. This watch has it. They're all about serviceability. Check, check. They're all about physical toughness, present and correct. When we water test these watches, we have to use a hard case setting in the water test machine because many Breitling cases are so tough, especially among the SuperOceans, that they are physically incompressible, and the machine works by compressing and decompressing and measuring the difference between the two. When the case doesn't budge, that's a Breitling. This is a handsome and stylish watch that's got a little bit of a rogue quality to it when worn on land. A hardcore diving tool watch, it looks a bit out of its element, and fabulously so on land. In the water, absolute nails. On the street, this is one for a rake. Wear it and wear it with style. See it on our website. And we're back with the Breitling SuperOcean 42 from 2004, the intrepid orange dial. You can see the luminescent pearl on the bezel. I should have mentioned the bezel has a wonderful ratchet and detent. A good bezel can make a dive watch just as a bad one can ruin it. This one has a great bezel. It also has a spectacular full Arabic dial and a lovely lollipop luminescent seconds hand. See it by the light of day in its intrepid orange glory on our website.